once you get it in your blood and you do one show, it's impossible to just sit around and not do more. From the King George's Estates, just outside of downtown Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, good Saturday evening, everybody, and welcome back to KC in 60 right here on DARPATV.com. Still go to say Shovio every single time I open a show. It's hard to say DARPA. For some reason, for me, it's like a tongue twister of sorts. I always say DARPA or DARPA or something. So still hard to say that, but it's always going to be Shovio, I guess, deep down. And a special thanks and welcome to everybody who's here tonight, including some old familiar faces. Tim Gillette, who is now in Fairfax, Virginia, and my cousin Darian, who is just fresh off of the boat back from today's Mets game, where the Mets lose again to the Los Angeles Dodgers. But that's what happens when the Mets wear black uniforms. They wore black today in honor of Edgardo Alfonzo. It was Edgardo Alfonzo bobblehead day, bobblehead night, whatever the hell you want to call it, at Citi Field, and the Mets go out and lose. R.A. Dickey comes in relief, just to give you a sense of how bad things are going. They're going to starting pitching for relief efforts now, not the wisest thing. Special welcome also, of course, to my dear friend Joel the Mouth McGurk down in Port St. Lucie, Florida, watching from work tonight. And for those of you who, you've been hearing me say this over and over, you got to check out Joel's program every single Thursday night on sportsrantsradio.com from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, doing a phenomenal job on this sports show. I've been just so happened to be his producer, so of course I like the show quite a bit, and I hope you guys get a chance to check it out. And he does shows occasionally here on DARPA too, so that's even greater. So before, I guess, hey, listen, here's the best way to do it. Here, take a look. This is what Joel's show is all about. That's Joel the Mouth on sports, every Thursday night on sportsrantsradio.com. Darian asked me if we're going to talk sports. Darian, why don't you hop on if you want, so we can talk about anything. I don't know if you were interested in calling in and if you want to talk about some baseball or whatever is on your mind, but I'm open to talking about anything. I have some stuff planned, but I can go out of order. It doesn't matter. It's been so long since I've done regular shows, and if you want to come on board, we can talk about anything you want, since we haven't had a little one-on-one here in the longest period of time. So it's up to you. Whatever's good for you, you just let me know, and we'll get you on the air. There's a whole bunch of things that I did have planned to talk about. I was going to talk a little bit about the Mets and their game, of course, this afternoon at Citi Field with the Dodgers. They got lost 2 in a row. We'll get to that at some point. And I of course, want to take a look a little bit again on what we were talking about last night on the program, about what happened in Aurora, Colorado. There's a whole bunch of things that have happened that I want to touch upon, including this guy Brian Ross from ABC News, who went out and said that the suspect, the man who went out and killed 12 people and shot 71 in total, was some sort of Tea Party nut. He got that wrong. And there's a couple of other things, too, including Ann Curry returning to the airwaves for NBC News. She's covering this story. She's down there. And then this part is what really, really irked the shit out of me. And this is a member of Congress. His name is Louis Gohmert. Excuse me. I don't know too much about Gohmert, but pardon me for a second. Sorry, there's a little tickle there. This guy went on a radio program the other day. Well, it was yesterday. And during the course of the radio program, he said that this guy went and did what he did in Aurora, Colorado, because he was attacking Judeo-Christian values. And so immediately, we talked about this yesterday a little bit, about how people are somewhat afraid to politicize this thing so quickly. It just happened no more than 36 hours ago. And here's a politician who goes on the radio and he says that the Judeo-Christian values were part of this, because the guy doesn't have any, or he wanted to attack them, and this was his way of going out and expressing those anti-Judeo-Christian values. So I want to take a look at that, and I have a couple of things that I want to say about that. And also, if and this is just really a general conversation, really not necessarily something to get deep into conversation about, but I'm going to show you a picture here. This guy's name is Dan Oates, and he is the chief of police in Aurora, Colorado. And I've got to be honest with you folks, every so often when there's a major crime, when something big happens, you see these guys who go to the podium and do press conferences, police officers, sometimes they're chiefs, sometimes they're commissioners, sometimes they're lower ranking, doesn't matter. This guy, who I don't think is related to Adam Oates, Timmy, I'm not 100% sure about that, is a former New York City policeman. And I got to be honest with you, this guy has been a breath of fresh air. He just answers questions very, very quickly. If he doesn't have an answer, he doesn't circumvent it. He doesn't spend a lot of time trying to say he can't answer a question. He just either answers it or he doesn't, depending on what his ability to do is. And this guy just reeks of New York. He's something else. Very rarely do I get impressed so quickly by high-ranking police officials, but this guy, Mr. Oates, is one of the best. And I was reading about Daniel Oates a little bit. I just wanted to find out a little bit about him. Apparently, was extremely decorated when he was in the NYPD. Retired in 2001 as a lieutenant, but was seen by many people in the New York City Police Department as one of the brightest cops to ever put on the uniform in New York. It says a lot. And he has just handled this situation magnificently, what could be very, very difficult. And I couldn't imagine having to be the face or the spokesman of such a heinous crime, but he has done a magnificent, magnificent job. So kudos to the former NYPD Lieutenant Daniel Oates, who is now the chief of police of the Aurora Police Department out in Colorado. Now, some other topics not related to Aurora that I want to do. Occasionally on the show, I will give my opinions and do some reviews of TV shows that I've learned to like. And as most of you who know me well know, I tend to find shows well after they're popular. Like I started watching ER in 2008, 1 year before it went off the air, and have now seen every episode at least 3 times. Love the show, but I didn't come to the show until 14 years after the show was really, really popular and when it debuted back in 1994. So I want to talk a little bit about this show that I found that is formerly of CBS and now on the Ion network called Flashpoint. And I won't get into it just now, but all I can say about this is it's some of the best writing and some of the best storylines I've ever seen in my life. And we'll get to that. Timmy says he got into Seinfeld during syndication. You know what's interesting about Seinfeld, Timmy? I have never sat through but one full episode of Seinfeld, well, 2, in my entire life. You can probably guess what one of the 2 episodes is that I've watched from start to finish. The finale, exactly. And the other, of course, is the one where I forget the guy's name. I guess it was Elaine's boyfriend who was a fanatical Devils fan, and I forget what his real name is. He wound up dropping the puck in 1995 when the Devils raised the banner in 1995 to their first cup. So that was the only 2 episodes of Seinfeld I've ever seen, but it's just got a cult following. So there's something really impressive about that. I love Jerry Seinfeld too. I like when he calls WFAN. He calls Steve Summers Jerry from Queens all the time. So that's interesting that you fell into that show after the show was popular when it's in syndication. So I guess, hey, look, we're in the same spot. I did the same thing with ER, and now the shows that I've been really into are Flashpoint, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, and then there's a couple of, like, Criminal Minds is still, to me, one of the better ones. I think the one that jumped the shark for me, which is kind of disappointing, was CSI. Was always a big fan of that show. I just, since William Peterson left the show, I don't like Ted Danson's role for some reason. So I haven't really watched that too much. And the summer show that I can't get enough of. And these Canadian shows are really good. Flashpoint's a Canadian show, which airs here. And the other Canadian show that I really like that's on in the summertime is Rookie Blue, which has been extremely well received, going into the 3rd season and been renewed for its 4th season. So that show just keeps, to me, getting better and better. So we'll talk a little bit about Flashpoint a little bit later on. I want to talk about a few other things also, including the Boy Scouts of America, who just reaffirmed that they won't allow gay scouts or scoutmasters in after a 2-year period of taking a look at this and analyzing it to see if they might want to change their policy. And on a similar note, the owner of Chick-Fil-A, who is this crazy right-wing nut job, who is been saying similar things about the LGBT community, and that he supports them despite owning all these Chick-fil-A restaurants. The mayor of Boston, Tom Menino, is going to try to block him from building a restaurant in Boston because of that. But before we get to anything, we are fortunate to have on the line somebody who I have not seen in probably 2 years, or pretty damn close. It's my good buddy, Tim Gillette. What's up, brother?
How you doing, Kev? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you too, man. Holy cow! How much weight have you lost?
Oh, I'm pretty much. I guess I'm down to about 175. So,
wow.
Lost a nice little chunk just getting my rear end into shape.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. That is great stuff.
Well, thank you.
So what's new? I mean, I haven't talked to you in the longest time, and a lot of stuff has changed. New job, moved. What's going on?
Yeah. Just a lot of new things going on. Starting my new job on Monday. Getting into some acquisitions and called a place called Corporate Executive Board, headquartered in D.C., and we do a lot of best practice research for a good majority of the Fortune 500 and Forbes companies. Most of the companies we work with are on the FTSE, on the German exchange, on the Dow Jones. So it's a big company, and one of the goals is they were looking to become $1 billion company within the next 5 years. Wow. So it's something that I'm coming in as they're acquiring a lot of new companies. So my job is primarily to be a liaison and take these companies we acquire and align their accounting systems to the corporate executive board's accounting system. So that's very exciting.
That is incredible. Now, if these companies are on the FTSE and they're on different exchanges in Europe, does that mean you're going to travel at all? Are you going to be going over to Britain or anything like that at all? Is that part of the deal? Or
probably not. If I were to go anywhere, it'd probably be San Francisco, because part of the team is in D.C. and part of the team is in San Francisco. But a lot of our researchers, they do travel a lot to London and to Frankfurt and to Asia. My girlfriend actually works there too. In her department, she's a graphic designer, and part of their department is located in India. Wow. So they have some Indian designers, and some members of her team have gone out to India for a couple of weeks just to see how things operate over there. So yeah, so it's a great company. I'm excited to get going. I was working for a very small company, so now I'm kind of just jumping in and going into a larger company. So I'm yeah, very excited to begin that.
Tell me how somebody goes from being a middle school professor, as you were a teacher, as good as you were at that, to doing what you're doing now. How is this all transitioned? It's a remarkable story, really.
Well, my degree, I have a bachelor's in finance, so that's where that all comes from. I taught for a little bit, kind of like you did. You had a degree in something else, and kind of dabbled your feet into teaching a little bit. Saw that necessarily wasn't what you wanted to do, and just took my degree and went into to finance. Like, you got yourself into journalism, and it's pretty much a similar story to you. You get into you teach for a little bit. You think that's something you might want to do, and you find that's not what you want to do, and you jump into your degree, and that's what I'm doing now.
Man, what a great story. That is so awesome. I don't want to sound like too melodramatic, or anything like that, but this is really, it's always great to hear some great stories like this, especially as a fellow Jersey Cityite or Jersey Cityan, whatever we're called, from the good old
right.
days. It's always good. These are great stories. Congrats, man. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what else is going on?
Nothing much. I know we talked a little bit on Facebook about doing the Kiwanis thing, and still pretty involved with that. And we have our district convention coming up this next month, so that'll be a good thing. I recently went on a camping retreat with 70 high schoolers and 10 adults, and kind of went on a leadership thing, and that was pretty cool. So I still get my fix in with working with kids, yeah. So it was a just keeping busy with Kiwanis and work, and it's very very busy. Good thing that I was able to come on, and the girlfriend's out with her friends watching that Magic Mike film, so I have the apartment to myself, and I can kind of just relax a little bit and come on and listen to your show.
I have to take this. Remember how they have these commercials built into the
right,
show?
right.
It's coming up, but can you hang out so we can talk for a bit on the other side, or do you got to run?
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Good. It's 20 past the hour. Canessa here with Timmy Gillette out in Virginia. We're going to take the first of 2 breaks. When we come back, we'll talk more with Timmy. Just saw the Wizard of Sports is here from Philadelphia, pretty close by. So we'll take that break. We'll come back with more with Timmy. You're watching KCN 60 on DARPA TV. Don't go away. So, Timmy, over the years, we've had some great political debates on different topics, and we saw what happened in Aurora the other day. What's your take on everything that happened there the other day?
I think the interesting was I was on a total media blackout from about Thursday night until Friday afternoon, because I was planning on seeing I went to see The Dark Knight Rises. Saw it at the first 9 o'clock show. So I just did a quick media blackout, and I came home and I turned on the computer and looked on and saw that all happened in Colorado. And I mean, first of all, the kid is definitely this. I mean, apparently he's an intelligent person. This kid is a doctor student, so words can't describe what. All the carnage and what was going on. I mean, is this person someone who just really into the movie and really had this whole I'm going to be the Joker persona? And kind of watching Dan Oates on TV, it kind of reminded me of the movie somewhat, with Commissioner Gordon standing at the podium and fielding questions about the Joker, and this is what was going on with real life in Aurora, Colorado, and you wouldn't expect this to happen in Aurora. I mean, it's similar to the movie theater that's around the corner from my apartment. It's a similar area and a mall type atmosphere, and it can happen anywhere. And a guy went in there and he it's words can't express what was going on. I mean, it's sickening to think that somebody would do that.
The inevitable question is coming up already, though, and it's this: would tighter gun control laws would it have made any kind of difference here? What are your thoughts on that?
On one end, you take a look at it and you think that. Okay, usually, he got in there, he purchased all his guns legally, and, living in Virginia with the Virginia Tech shooting, and the same thing happened where the shooter from Virginia Tech, who actually, while it happened in Virginia Tech's about maybe 4.5 hour ride from from where I live. That's kind of down in the southwest corner of Virginia, closer to the Tennessee and Kentucky and that area.
You're in northern Virginia, right?
I'm in northern Virginia. I'm about 20 minutes west of D.C.
Okay.
Yeah, and the kid was from Chantilly, Virginia, which is where I used to teach. I taught in Chantilly. It's the next town over. So, I mean, this kid grew up in a very, very affluent area, and his background seems very similar to the shooter in Colorado. Grew up seemed like a wealthy, affluent family. There was no he didn't come from a lower class background and everything. So that's kind of they had a similar background. And the gun law, I mean, he looked like he went in there, and from what, just listening from everything, just being the analytical mind that I had, that I like to think I have, he So he goes in there with all this armor and everything, but he quickly surrendered to the cops. So what I'm thinking is this guy expected that someone in the theater was going to fire at him rather than the cops. That's kind of the way I took at it, that he was expecting someone else. I don't know the gun laws in Colorado. I know in Virginia, if you want to have a concealed weapons permit, all you have to do is pass a course. Bucks, you can. I mean, I can walk to the NRA headquarters and, you know, for $100, step in there, take a class for a couple of hours, and at the end get a permit, a certificate saying I passed the course, and then apply with Fairfax County and get a concealed weapon permit. Granted, I don't have any issues on my background. It's not as you know, if you have prior arrests, I don't know what all of that would do in terms of getting a gun license, but I know for me personally, all I would have to do is pass a course, and then I would be fine just to apply for a weapons permit, and I'd be granted one. Stricter gun, I mean, you know, I think we live in a society now where that if a criminal wants to do the, I mean, we have drug laws that, you know, cocaine is not legal, and you know, we have all these illegal things, but people still can get their hands on them. I mean, it wouldn't be as easy, granted, but I mean, I think that if this gentleman wanted to get his hands on some kind of weapon, it would have happened regardless. I mean, he would have went in there with, if he couldn't get access to guns, he would have went in there and made homemade explosives like he did in his apartment. Or I mean, there's ways to get around these things. So yeah, gun laws would have made it more difficult for him to do this, but I don't think it would have stopped him from an attack. Obviously, the scale of the attack would have been different, but I think in the long run, he would have created some kind of madness and carnage regardless.
And it's interesting that you bring that up, too, about being able to get it. But even this number was pretty stunning. I guess there's something like 84 million registered firearms in the United States right now. And somebody made a post, you know, that there's 84 some odd million people who went and shot, who own firearms. And of those, one person went on a rampage yesterday. So, again, even if these laws were tighter, the vast majority of American people still use their firearms in a lawful way, not in a lawless way. So would it really make a difference? Probably not. And Butchie, who is a lieutenant in the Philadelphia Police Department, the Wizard of Sports, in the chat room, said the gun laws, he himself, who would know better than a police officer, that the gun laws wouldn't make a difference anyway. So when you hear that, it's a little bit more comforting, I guess. But still, your point about this guy, even if there were stricter laws, he had no bad background. He just had I think a speeding ticket or something in Aurora, and that was it. So how do you know? You're never going to be able to really tell when somebody does something like that. It's just heartbreaking, though, isn't it, to see that? That's only 15 miles away from Columbine High School, no less. Right,
yeah. It's, I mean, this is, like I said earlier, words can express the way the whole situation with everything going down in Colorado. I mean, just seeing the footage and hearing seeing the 911 calls and just hearing the eyewitnesses and everything. It's crazy. I mean, this is just, and people really don't. I don't know. It kind of goes to the whole. As the older I get, and granted I'm only 30, but the older I get, the more I see that people just don't give a shit anymore, and that's the bottom line. And you know, you see it every day. I know there was discussion on CNN earlier about someone brought a 3-month-old baby to the theater, and that was in the middle of things. And you know, yesterday morning there was an infant sitting in front of me, and like, just what the hell are you thinking, bringing a baby to a movie, regardless if someone comes in there and shoots up a movie theater. It's just, people don't think, and you know, it's just people only right now. They're all about themselves, and they're all about their own agenda and their own priority. And it's really, you know, people need to stop for a second and think about the other people that surround them. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. And And, like the wizard just said, there's no respect for authority or human life. And you see it all the time. And this is just ridiculous. People really need to, like, get off of their high horse and think more about others. And it's ridiculous. Same thing with... I'm sorry, Kevin. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Timmy.
No, go ahead. I was saying the same thing with...
Sorry, I was just going to say, but you're the perfect example of somebody who lives a life completely the antithesis of that, with your involvement with Kiwanis, being a teacher, being involved with the kids and things like that. You've been blessed, and you take those blessings that you have, and you go ahead and you're making the world a better place. So many people are just not in that way right now, and they won't. I don't know if that's ever going to change in our lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, probably not. And just what you were saying too. I know what really got me to click in was the when you started talking about Chick-Fil-A, and I guess I really didn't see many of those living up north. I mean, down here they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And that they are probably, and I think they're run by Southern Baptist or something. Yes. I'm not sure, but I know they are
the
heavily
CEO's Southern Baptist.
They're heavily religious. They're not open on Sunday. And I went this past New Year's, the Chick-fil-A Bowl down in Atlanta, and it was the only sporting event I've ever been to where before the game they had Ernie Johnson of TNT come on, stand at the 50-yard line, and give an invocation before the game started.
Oh my God.
I've never been to a sporting event, and I've been to hundreds where someone actually came on, including many of St. Anthony basketball games where
Right.
they didn't do a prayer or anything before. And Ernie Johnson came in the middle of the field and gave an invocation, and during the invocation actually mentioned that this game was being played under the watchful eyes of our Savior Jesus Christ.
Whoa.
And I was at the game with one of my friends who is Jewish, and he was so upset and offended that he was like, "Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous." And he's usually not an outspoken person. He goes, "I'm sitting here, I paid $80 for a seat in the upper deck, and I have to sit here and listen to Ernie Johnson talk about Jesus at a football game." And it wasn't, it was Virginia and Auburn, two private schools were playing in this game. It wasn't like it was, Liberty against Notre Dame. It was, There were two public institutions that were playing each other. And so that was just a little story I thought you might, yeah.
I had never heard this. And I think the thing that's most outrageous about this is that they use a broadcaster who is not an overtly religious man. I've never really heard Ernie Johnson talking about his Savior before to deliver the invocation. I could almost understand it if they brought in Billy Graham Jr. or something like that to do something, but that's absurd. I mean, that's mind-numbing. And you brought up some other great points too, some things that I never knew about Chick-fil-A until a couple of years ago, because there was one when I lived in Woodbridge. And you're right, there aren't too many in North Jersey. There's a lot of them down here in South Jersey and in the South. But the Sunday rule is very intriguing, that the signs, too, that even say that we are closed Sundays so that our employees can spend their Sundays the way the Bible said it should be, with your family and in praise of our Lord. Like, at first that troubled me a little bit, but I can understand. I guess it's nice, give your employees a day of rest. But now hearing this about the prayer, and then the recent news and all this other stuff, I'm not so sure. I mean, I love Chick-fil-A. I don't know if you've
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Right? The chicken sandwiches are unbelievable. I never could imagine having a piece of pickle on a chicken sandwich, but it's good.
Yeah.
It was always, I loved it. But I'm not sure I'll ever shop there ever or eat there ever again. And I'm a big-time eater, too. Obviously, you know that. So, the time and the place, is a bowl game the time and a place for an invocation? I mean, for God, I don't think so.
Right.
I mean,
we do.
Go ahead, sorry, bro.
I was saying, we do it at Kiwanis meeting, not our particular club, but I've been to clubs that do invocations, and they're more generic prayers and whatnot. And if you're an atheist, or if you're Jewish or Muslim, you can bow your head and do your own silent thing, but never would I expect them to actually, throw Jesus's name in that. I mean, most of the prayers that are there, I went to a Kiwanis event this morning, and it was very, thank you for blah, 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 allowing us here so we can do our service, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But nothing, God nor Jesus or Allah or anyone mentioned in name, just kind of a generic, blessing versus actually saying our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Exactly. That's what they do very well at political meetings, too. Like at a reorganization meeting, January 1st, they usually have some member of the clergy. They may say Lord, they may say God or Father or something that relates to a deity, but they would never say Jesus Christ. They would never say Yahweh or Allah or anything like that. It was always extremely generic, as you were saying. And that's fine, I guess, but Jesus, no pun intended, you really just kind of like alienate anybody who's not a Christian right there. But these guys don't seem to care. And this guy, the CEO of Chick-Fil-A, doesn't seem to care. That he's made it pretty clear that he supports these organizations that are against same-sex marriage, with the possibility of losing a big chunk of customers. So I guess it doesn't matter. So and that's what. I think this stuff's going to just continue to happen. He doesn't seem to give a shit. And I guess that's his prerogative. If he wants to lose customers, I guess that's the way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Man, so tell me real quick. We got a couple of minutes before the next break comes along. Are the Rangers going to go out and sign Nash, or what the hell's going on with your hockey club right now?
Well, the Rangers can't sign Nash. They have to trade for Nash. Nash isn't a free agent. Looks like that. The same thing that happened at the deadline. I think Columbus wants too much. I think they want Chris Kreider, and I wouldn't. With the way he played in the playoffs, I don't think you can get rid of him. He was the only one putting the puck in the net during during the playoffs. They want a lot. I would send Dubinsky in a heartbeat. I really don't have any. Thing. And DJ was saying Shane Doan actually met with the Rangers today, I heard. But I think he wants a lot of money. You have to see what the cap hit's going to be on him. I would rather go after Shane Doan than trade for Rick Nash. I just think that Columbus has an unrealistic price for him. I don't see it. But you have to sign somebody with the Flyers making moves, and the Devils were the Eastern Conference champions. Pittsburgh, that division is you throw the Islanders out of that division and you have 4 cup contenders right there. I mean, this is ridiculous. That division is so tough, and everybody should be scrambling and trying. Thank goodness Parise's out of the division. That's one more, and Stahl is out of the division. So we got rid of a Stahl and we got rid of Parise. That was a big blow for you guys. And I think what is going to be a bigger blow for you guys is losing Adam Oates. I think he was. I mean, the way your guys their power play was moving. I mean, he was the. I think the Caps are going to be back into the front of things this year because they got rid of the cancer Semin, and if that kid Holtby can.
Wait, what happened to Semin?
Oh, Semin's a free agent too. He's out there. They're not.
Devils may
sign
him.
Semin.
I keep hearing.
Yeah. But they got rid of him. And I think that they're going to be a top contender. I think last year was a fluke with that team. They just have too much talent to not play well. And Mike Green, their big defenseman, was out for a good chunk of the year, and that's why once he came back, they made that push in the playoffs. They beat Boston, and then they took the Rangers to 7 games, and very easily could have and probably should have won that series too. Yeah. Setting up with the Devils. So I think they're going to be a good team. And, unfortunately, all the Canadian teams still suck. Unfortunately for Canada. But, they sell their buildings out anyway. Toronto. Was Toronto the team that was in 15th place, or was it...
Yeah. And they've never not sold out a game since they moved to the Air Canada Center. So it's remarkable.
Right, but yeah, we'll see what the Rangers end up doing. They have to sign somebody. If they don't, someone's got to put the puck in the net. And Gabby's out for a part of the early part of next season, so they're definitely. And they start the season with a month of road games with the MSG renovation going on, which they still can't get a fucking door to close. But we'll. I liked your comments back then at all the renovations they pulled and they couldn't get but actually just for your knowledge, the penalty boxes.
Hang on 1 second. The break's going to come up. Can you wait? Can you wait
okay.
Another 30 seconds? Or?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, we'll be right back. Sorry about that, bro. So I think my tweet was
no problem.
They can put beautiful blue new seats in, but they can't get a fucking door to close. So what was that all about?
Well, I think the penalty box is in year 3 of the renovation, so that's why I didn't close.
Oh my God! Hey,
so they're waiting for.
I think they did a nice job, though. That place looks phenomenal, and it's not easy with the space that they've got, the way they've totally redesigned it. I don't know how the hell they pulled it off, but it looks like it's going to be someplace once it's all is said and done. A lot more open and a lot of like views outside too. I heard they're going to be doing. Like, you can really see all over the place there.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be good. But I know you got DJ trying to come on, so I'm going to let you go.
Thank you, bro.
One last note. I know you mentioned Criminal Minds. I actually met Joe Mantegna a couple of months ago down in Williamsburg, Virginia. He does a lot of work with the Wounded Warriors.
Yeah.
And I was running an 8K that benefited the Wounded Warrior Project, and Joe Mantegna was down there, and really nice guy. Stopped and posed for a picture. If you check on my my Facebook page, the picture's on there. But yeah, it was a great. He was a good guy, and kind of just sounded just like he did, and it sounded just like his Fat Tony Simpson's voice and all that. Yeah, exactly. Oh, sure. You want a picture? Sure.
Sure. Come take
and
a picture.
I grabbed
with me.
Yeah, come over. And I grabbed my girlfriend. I was like, come with me. She's like, who's that? I was like, don't ask questions. Just get the camera and we're going to go over this guy.
Oh, my God.
Because I was looking at, he was in,
I am jealous.
Yeah, he was standing, yeah.
Oh, my God, he's so good on the show. Do you watch the show, or you just knew who he was?
I knew who he was from his work with The Simpsons, and so I knew who he was, and he was in the Godfather, I think the Godfather 3. And I found out later that he was on on Criminal Minds, and his character's name was Rossi, and that's my mother's maiden name.
That's
so
right.
I didn't even know. I could have had a conversation piece with him about that. I had no clue. I could have talked to him for like 20 minutes or something, but it was still good meeting him nonetheless. So yeah, that was a little thing I wanted to share. But Kev, it was great coming on and seeing you again, and I'm glad you're doing these the DARPA, I guess now, DARPA shows, and keep up the good work, buddy.
Timmy, it's an honor. It's great to see you, and I hope we get to finally hang out one of these days sometime. All right, bro?
I'll let you know next time I'm heading up. I'll make a pit stop in the Philly area.
That sounds good, bro. Talk to you soon, Timmy.
All right.
That is my buddy Tim Gillette, somebody I've known for a long time and who I've just admired and respected for the longest time. It's so good to see Timmy. And I got to know him through his brother. His brother was one of my students back in 1998, if you can imagine that. And, of course, some welcomes since Timmy had a long chat. Bill Scarterfield is here from Arizona, and, of course, the Wizard of Sports is here from outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's always good to have someone from the Philly area here, even though he doesn't have a phone, or we can't talk on the phone. But it is always good to see Butch, and looking forward to having his show back on DARPA TV. We miss the Wizard of Sports. I miss those rants. I miss those hard-hitting things that nobody else has the balls to say. That's for damn sure. So get back on the air soon, and I think Bill's going to be doing a show too, so that's going to be great. We're going to have some great shows here, and of course Joel is here. And now we go from Virginia to Howell, New Jersey, to my cousin. What's up, man? I haven't seen you in a long time.
Kevin, how you doing?
All right, Darian, how are you, brother?
I'm great, man. I had a good day today in New York.
All right, so did you go on the ferry boat too? Because I saw Annie said she was taking the boat over.
Yeah, we did go on the boat.
What's that like? I've never taken the ferry before.
The on the way there wasn't bad, but my mom's laying down right now. She got seasick on the way home. They were going pretty rough on the way home, really fast, and the waves we were going up high and.
Oh Jesus, that is so typical.
Yeah.
That is so typical. So the Mets go out and lose. Tell me about what happened today. What was it like?
It was a great experience. I've never been I've never been to Shea, so going to City was a great experience. It was one of the best ballparks I've ever seen. I know that. It was gorgeous. I didn't get to walk around as much as I wanted, but it was nice.
To the center field area by the Shake Shack and the Shea Bridge.
No, not really. I sat down and sat in my seat. I went over the Shea Bridge with Aunt Annie because she wanted me to do that.
Did you sit in Anna's seats?
Yeah, we had section 124.
And those are pretty damn good seats too, right? She's like right behind home.
They were pretty nice seats, yeah.
Are those leather
They were.
seats?
We were third base. We were third baseline.
Nice. But she got those big old.
Yeah,
seats,
27th
right?
row. They were good seats, right? What'd you say?
She's got those big seats though, right? The leather ones.
No. She doesn't have leather seats. She has those for other times, but she brought a lot of people, so they were just regular seats.
Okay, all right. So the Mets go out and lose. R.A. Dickey gets shellacked in the ninth inning too, right? Didn't he give up a home run or something?
That was a bad decision by Terry Collins, I have to say.
All right. Now I asked this question to my buddy Joel, and I'm going to ask you the same question. Was that Terry Collins' way of saying to Sandy Alderson, "I need fucking bullpen help really fast right now"?
That's probably a factor. I mean, they're looking at a bunch of different options right now, but that was, I don't know if that's the right decision to make. They're 500 now. They're a 500 club after today. They're back to 500. So I mean. And Atlanta's playing the best they've played. Washington's starting to go on the downhill. Did you see Strasburg last night?
No, I didn't. Tell me what happened.
They couldn't even get him out of the 6th inning.
Oh, is that right? Okay, so now this is interesting.
Right? He went 5. This
is interesting because. Go ahead, bro.
He went 5 1/3 innings. And then started just blowing up. They were hitting him like crazy. McCann hit a 2-run bomb, and he didn't even wind up getting another out for the rest of the inning. So he only pitched 5 1/3, and they winded up losing the game. Atlanta came back. Washington was winning 9-1, and then they winded up losing in the 11th inning. Yeah, they lost 11-10 in the 11th inning. Washington lost.
Well, let me ask you this. The Wizard of Sports is here watching the show, too. He's been saying all along that this is not Washington's division to take. And he says this, he's very objective, even though he's a Phillies fan. Is he right? I mean, is this the Braves division now to take, or what's going to happen here?
I think it depends on after the deadline, because right now, with the arms that Washington's looking at and center fielder, I think if they can acquire, right now their top target is Dempster. So if they can acquire Dempster at the deadline, I think they can still make a push. Atlanta's trying to get some other guys, and Philly, I don't know. Philly's just a mess up there, but I don't know. I think as of now, I think Washington can still win the division. I think they still have good pitching with Gio Gonzalez, and Zimmerman's been pitching well. And as long as Strasburg's on his innings limit, I think they should work out okay.
Let's go back real quick to the Mets. You just mentioned, you're right, they're now at 500. There was a point where it seemed like they might actually be buyers and not sellers in this trade deadline coming up in a couple of days. Do you think they're going to be buyers or sellers? And if they are buyers, who are they going to go after for the bullpen?
I think they're going to have to be buyers just for the situation, just because I think a lot of Mets fans were figuring that they should be buyers, especially before the All-Star break, because I mean, since after the All-Star break, they've been playing like shit. So I mean, they do it. I have to say it mostly relies on the bullpen. I mean, they don't really have one good arm. I mean, they don't really have a very good arm there at all. I mean, Francisco's on the DL and he wasn't even pitching that well for them. John Rauch hasn't been what they expected. Ramon Ramirez was supposed to be one of the big guys they got back in that Pagan trade, and look at that trade. Pagan's batting almost 300 in San Francisco. Torres is batting 220. Ramirez's ERA is okay, but not what they were looking for. So I mean, and if you didn't hear, Brett Myers was dealt today to Chicago, the White Sox.
No.
So that takes another reliever out.
I don't know what the hell's going on. I missed all of this shit.
I was at the Met game and I still found this out before you, Kevin. What's going on?
I haven't been paying attention to baseball since the Mets, but we went on their little slide here, so you have to forgive me for that. What about your Yankees, bro? Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, this series in Oakland's being tough on us, man. We can't hit rookie pitchers. We never could. Ever since I started watching, I knew we could never hit rookie pitchers. Whenever we face a young kid, the guy who pitched against us last night had like 10 strikeouts or something. I never even heard of the guy before. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on. But Oakland's looking good, too. But, I don't know. We're still 19 games over 500, and we have the biggest lead in any division. So, I mean, glad about that.
All right. Now, you said earlier in the chat room that your father was, like, disowning you or something today. What happened?
Oh, yeah, called me a traitor. Called me a traitor.
You were rooting for the Mets, weren't you?
Of course I was rooting for the Mets. With Aunt Annie there, of course I had to root for the Mets.
Yeah, you wanted to go home alive, right? Oh, my God. So tell me what else is going on. You stole Zach Parisi from me, too.
Zach, oh, man. Thanks for that, Kev. I got to say, Minnesota, oh, we're looking good, man. We're looking good. We still need some defense, though. Suter can't do it by himself.
That is true. But I'm telling you, what, they'll probably make the playoffs, but they're a couple of years away, don't you think? Or do you think they might put a run here?
I think, I definitely think we're a couple of years away. With the amount of years that we signed both him and Suter for, I think we're going to have to win a couple cups within that time period, because the amount of time and the amount of money we spent on those two players. We even made them assistant captains already. They never even played a game for us, and they're both assistants.
Oh, that's lovely. It really is.
So, I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping maybe defensive help with the deadline. We could do something when the season starts. But right now, I like our scoring attack, and I hope Harding starts over Backstrom, because I can't stand Backstrom anymore. Letting up too many goals.
Talking to my cousin Darian in Howell, New Jersey. Darian, let everybody know about your website and all the writing that you've been doing. You're a young kid, and here you are doing all this blogging and stuff. Let everybody know all about it.
So back in December, I released my own .com called sportscircuits.com. And I was discovered about a month or two later by ESPN, so as of right now I'm an ESPN intern, so that's great. If you want to check out the website, it's sportscircuits.com. I write about MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, college basketball, and football. I got a Twitter account as well, at SportsCircuits. So if you want to follow that for up-to-date trade news, rumors, anything else. And just working my way, trying to get to college, because I'm still in high school, so just got to focus right now.
Unreal. Now, you know I'm a journalist. One of the few words that I can never spell properly is circuits. So you're going to have to put the web address in the
Just put it in the web room. No problem.
It's funny though, because it's really one of the words I do not know. I always spell it wrong, no matter how many times. So I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Hey, cuz, it was really good to see you. Please give my love to Mom and Dad and to everybody. And every time, you know, we got to do this more often. Seriously.
Yeah, I feel you, Kev. I got you.
All right, Darian. Talk to you soon, cuz.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Same here. That's my cousin Darian. He's in Howell, New Jersey. Big sports fan. Went to the Mets game today. Saw an abysmal, atrocious game. You do, Wiz. You know how to get me. There's certain words that I've never been able to spell. I have a degree in English, but I can never spell circuits correctly. I can never spell immensely. What's the other word that I always screw up? I didn't know how to spell the word forward. And the reason I couldn't spell forward is because I grew up in Jersey City, and all of my relatives have a Jersey City accent, which is similar to from being from New York. You're right across the street from right across the river from New York. So everybody says forward. Right, exactly, Timmy. Everybody said forward in my family when I was growing up. So I used to think forward was F-O-W-A-R-D. I never knew there was an R in the word forward, and it was only because of the way people pronounce it. And you just ask anybody who's from North Jersey, especially from the Jersey City area, it's not forward, it's forward. Let's see, what is that, Timmy? Edward. Yeah, exactly, Edward. Excuse me while I choke up a lung over here. This is unbelievable. Really great to see so many familiar faces here. I don't want to just start listing names, because if I do, I might forget somebody. I don't want to do that. But Uncle Mugga is now here, also from San Diego, California. It's always good to see my uncle. And we've got New Jersey, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Florida, California, Arizona in this chat room right now, and I may have probably New Jersey. I've probably missed a couple of others too. So I mean, we are very well rounded here. I just decided to bring back KC and 60, and twice I've had two phenomenal audiences in a row. So it's always really good. It's really good to see everybody. And of course, I didn't really get to. I didn't get to talk about. Well, we got actually. I shouldn't say that. We actually hit a gamut of things. There is one thing I do want to show though, and this is Terry Collins speaking to the media, because as most of you know by now, our good buddy Johan Santana has been taken and put on the disabled list. This is kind of nowhere. Apparently something up with his ankle. But Collins addressed the media about it, and this is what he had to say yesterday about his star pitcher going down for 14 days or whatever it is, 15.
Terry, just because we're not used to seeing this from Johan, I mean, health-wise, is everything okay with him?
Kev, yeah, he's not hurt. Let's put it that way. He's not hurt. We're going to talk about some alternatives here when I'm done in here. What we might try to do to see if we can, get some energy back in his arm. So,
did it ever get discussed? I mean, I know this is such a new thing because he's made such a remarkable comeback, but just in terms of, I don't know, just hitting a little bit of a wall like he is now.
It has been. It was discussed in spring training. When there were times when we'd sit down and talk about the possibility of skipping him a start or backing him up a few days. He came out of the break, as you guys know. He had basically 8 days, pitched on the 9th day. Just hasn't.
So we'll see what happens. I guess it's only for a couple of weeks. Only supposed to miss one start. And hopefully it's not too long term. But again, I as much as Joel seems to think that this team is going to continue to do well, he's the most positive Mets fan I know. I don't know. I just see this is the typical swan song time for the Mets. As soon as the All-Star break hits, it's over. Now, the last thing I want to talk about real quick is the two shows that I wanted to recommend you. One, of course, is Cold Case, which is it's over and done with. It's not even on the air anymore, but there's reruns available. And this is the story. This is follows the Philadelphia Police Department's mythical cold case squad in the Homicide Bureau. Butcher, you couldn't confirm this, but I don't think there's really a cold case squad, right, in the Philly PD, that this is just a mythical type of thing, right? Okay, yeah, they do, but what they do is they go out and they follow these old crimes, and they go out and they try to solve crimes that have happened like 30, 40 years in the past, things of that nature. Joel saying, did I see the chick from Criminal Minds going to SVU? Yes, Paget Brewster is going to be on SVU next year, which is always good. She was my favorite character on Criminal Minds. I was disappointed she left the show for the second time, no less, but she did, in fact. But this, you do have a cold case squad. Okay, my fault. I'm sorry. I thought it was mythical for some reason. Well, it is technically, since it's a TV show. Phenomenal storylines, great writing. The other show that I really hope everybody. That's right, Butch, you were telling me the Wizard of Sports is, as I've mentioned to you guys before, is a lieutenant in the Philadelphia Police Department, and a buddy of his is a detective and a consultant for the Cold Case, the show too, I think, right? So, of course, but it's not on the air anymore, but you can see it on ION. The other show I want everybody, if you ever get a chance, if you like cop shows, to watch, it's in its 5th and final season in October, but again, you can find all these episodes online on different websites. There's a show called Flashpoint. It's a Canadian show, and the premise is that it's in the city of the Metropolitan Toronto Police Department. Very similar to the United States, are the laws and things of that nature. And Flashpoint derives its name because the cases deal with people who have gotten to a flashpoint, and I'm just reading something in the chat room that I'm always intrigued by. The Wiz says, a great fucking show, pretty realistic. When you hear that from a sworn law enforcement officer, you know it's right. I mean, you know that they're doing something right. And that's what they do. But just saying he's a trained negotiator, and that's what they do. They negotiate people who take hostages, who are in those really, really high flashpoint moments. And the storyline and the writing, I've always felt, just seemed too realistic to be Hollywood. And now I'm hearing when I hear, anytime if I could see that from the Wiz saying that it's realistic, that just confirms to me that they're doing something right. Unfortunately, as is the case in the United Kingdom, it seems to be happening in Canada now. They're ending the show after this season, after only 5 seasons. A lot of times these European types, they want to end these shows when they're at their top, which is good in a way because so often there's programs that jump the shark and have been on the air way, way, way too long. But folks, I'll tell you what, this Flashpoint comes back in, I believe, October. It's now on the Ion Network. I think most of you should have Ion. And it's not in every market, but even if you can't get it, all these shows are still they are still available online where you can see them. And if you want to know where the website is, I'll certainly let you know. Because I don't want to put it out here since they're not exactly copacetic websites. If you get my drift, here's a preview of the very first scene ever in Flashpoint, just to give you a sense of how intense it could be in such a short period of time and how well written the show is.
You know why we're all here? It's about helping you. You understand? Help! But first, you have to put the gun down. You have to put the gun down. Give me gun down. Ostavi pistoli. Ostavi pistoli. Give me, we want to help. Hoćemo vam pomoći. Ostavi pistoli. Put the gun down. Just put the gun down. Give me calm down. Smiri se. Just keep it calm. Sierra, switch channels.
Switching channels.
Sierra 1 copy.
Come on.
Just keep it calm. Keep it calm. Sierra 1. Sierra 1.
Sierra 1, go ahead.
Scorpio.
What I love about the show is they go to the height, to the climax. They show a preview, but they stop it just before the shooting takes place or something of that nature. And when you hear Scorpio, that means take the shot. That's their code word for it. And then they go back and they retrace their steps that led up to the Flashpoint. And Enrico Colantoni is phenomenal. I think he was, somebody was telling me, what was he in, Just Shoot Me or something like that? I never watched those shows, but Enrico Colantoni is apparently really, was really funny in that, and he's phenomenal here. And there's also Hugh Dillon, who's a Canadian singer who's a part of the show, and Sergio DeZio, who actually, I tweeted him once and he tweeted back, so I hope to get him on the show once. He's a phenomenal actor, just some great storylines. I hope you get a chance to check it out. There's some really, really great shows, and just as Joel was saying, that's on Ion, and so is Cold Case. Ion has some pretty decent reruns, so check them out. That's going to do it for this edition of KC in 60. I want to thank Timmy Gillette for shoving in, and also my cousin Darian for shoving in, and I thank each and every one of you for coming by here tonight. It was awesome to see you guys again. I hope everybody's doing well, and I hope to do this again really, really soon. It's been fun doing 2 shows in a row on 2 consecutive nights. Looking forward to Bill's show, and looking really forward to the Butch getting his show back on, the Wiz getting his show back on the air. And it really was like old times, Timmy. It's like being on Shovio again all of a sudden. Please don't forget, my friend Joel McGurk, every Thursday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on sportsrantsradio.com. Check him out. If you can't see it, listen to it live. It's available on iTunes. Just type in The Mouth on Sports on iTunes and you'll find it. There are links at sportsrantsradio.com too, so I do want you to check that out. We need to keep getting his audience bigger and bigger as he continues to grow and becomes more successful, so we can get him on the radio once and for all. From just outside of downtown Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Canessa signing off for now. Thanks each and every one of you for being here tonight, and hope to see you again really, really soon. Good night, everybody.